cut school programs, close schools, close down parks, and take away basketball hoops. They go to congested schools only to return home to a congested house. They are fed the lie that school won't take them anywhere, that the economy is too bad, fed the lie that it's cooler to be dumb and fit in than to be smart and stand out. But there are organizations like the Youth Council at the UCC that lead by example and refuse to believe the lies that are fed to them by society and others.
Growing up in the River West area on the north side of Milwaukee, I chose not to believe the lie. The gangs, the drugs were all around us, but I had two very important components in my personal life. The discipline of the martial arts kept me busy, kept me focusing on how to respect those in the community and the school. The high schools that are represented in the UCC Youth Leadership Council are Pius High School, Divine Savior of Holy Angels, Mesmer, Marquette, Dominican, and Carmen High School, and many others as well. The students come from the south side of Milwaukee. They have seen many things regarding crime. They have seen prostitution, they have seen gangbanging, they have seen drug dealing. What's amazing is although this is around them, they have chosen to overcome many of these obstacles, many of the negative things. The students begin getting involved in the council beginning freshman year. They're able to do it throughout their high school year experience for 2 years. They can do it for 4 years. The majority of them do it throughout their high school years. They are involved with the CSI, which is the Crime Strategy Initiative.
Raymond! Wait, no. Okay.
Our goal is to help these students, a youth-led project to help reduce crime in their neighborhood.
Don't believe the lie.
Don't believe the lie.
Don't believe the lie.
On the south side, in the early 90s, back then there was not a lot of blacks on the south side, but I grew up on 20th and Scott. There was a lot of shootings at night. You couldn't go to sleep without hearing gunshots in the neighborhood all the time. So in the early 90s, this neighborhood was a very violent neighborhood. You know, there's a lot of drugs being sold, you know, so there was a lot of poison in this neighborhood, a lot of things that, self-destructive things, should I say, in this neighborhood. So my neighborhood was a very violent and neighborhood.
The neighborhood that I grew up in was very poverty-stricken. My family, as well as many other families in the neighborhood, were on welfare, a lot of poor people, and my uncles on both sides of the family used to deal drugs and do drugs together, and there was a lot of fighting involved, a lot of hurt, a lot of suffering, a lot of misery, a lot of abuse, physical, mental, and emotional.
When we first resided here, well, it was on a little apartment on 7th and Rogers, where had a lot of presence of a lot of rival gangs and a lot of things that a 7-year-old, you know, typically shouldn't be seeing. So, you know, as far as like when we'd be playing outside, you know, prostitution, crack addicts, you know, just things of that nature, graffiti all over the place. From that, my parents, you know, disliked the environment, so they moved us to Tolton, Oklahoma, where it was a much more decent place, much more quiet, but nonetheless still had the presence of, you know, gangs and alcohol.
Growing up, I was very sheltered. We would play with the kids in the neighborhood. The neighbors knew the neighbors. It was okay. I think because I was so sheltered, I really didn't know what was going on in the neighborhoods, but I know that there was a lot of drug dealing going on. There was a lot of gang banging going on in the neighborhoods, but we were sheltered from that.
When I was little, there was a shooting by my house, and my parents decided to move to the suburbs.
I grew up around 6th and Burnham on the south side of Milwaukee. There was the occasional stereo thefts, all other forms of larceny as well. graffiti. There were drug dealers around the neighborhood and occasional gang members that you would see. Sirens would go off at night. Sometimes I would have to help my dad remove bullets on the window frame. But I love my neighborhood. Full of the whole Latino vibe. Family is important.
My neighborhood was bad, you can say, because we lived where all the gangbangers were. They'd have block parties every other day. So it was a really wild neighborhood, but nothing really affected our little house.
I grew up on the south side of Milwaukee, very close to UCC, a lot where some of the crime action was going on. Every 5 to 10 minutes you would hear the ambulance go by, the police go by. It turned to an occasional thing. I've heard gunshots often, but there's always people in the community that wanted better for themselves and for their families and their community. And I was part of them. I grew up in the middle of all the violence, all the things that were going on negatively, but I was able to maintain out of that.
My stepdad was very violent, and he used to beat on my moms and beat on me as well. So he's very physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive. He called me all out of my name as a little kid and made me feel less than a man because he called me all kind of girl names, and he put his hands on me whenever he was frustrated or angry or drinking. And being at the age of 15 years old, I was at a point where I was searching for something. And they made a lot of promises to me at the age of 15 years old about what they could do for me. At 17 years old, I shot a man in front of a church on 23rd and Greenfield just because he was not in the same gang as me. I was facing 40 years, but by the very grace of God, they only gave me 2 years, and I ended up going to jail. And when I got out in 1997, probably 45 days later, I shot at 3 Milwaukee police officers on 20th and Scott, and I was facing 135 years. And in 1997, I went to jail, and I ended up getting, I was facing 135 years, and out of 135 years, they gave me 24 years. And out of 24 years, I served 13 years and 5 days in prison. And I believe not only did the 2-1s lie to me, but I believe my community lied to me. I believe my family lied to me.
I was always going back and forth from my mother's to my father's house. My parents got a divorce at a very young age, and my uncles on both sides of the family used to deal drugs and do drugs together. And there was a lot of fighting involved, a lot of hurt, a lot of suffering, a lot of misery, a lot of abuse, physical, mental, and emotional. At the time, I was like 11 years old, and he was like 17. And he was in and out of jail, out of juvie since he was 9, 10 years old. I followed the negativity, and at that time, when I was about 11, 12 years old, when I met this guy, it kind of like, it made it more abundant to me that, wow, this is the way to live, because he was kind of raised by a guy older than him that was teaching him how to gangbang, how to sell drugs, and how to do crime, how to rob people and stuff like that.
I come from a fairly traditional Mexican family. My parents migrated here back in 96, 95, and looking for a better life. My dad was here before us, and then he brought me and my mom and the rest of our siblings back over here. People that influenced me definitely did lie to me. Just growing up in the street life, you get led to believe that there's these virtues that are supposed to be held together amongst the people that you hang out with, respect, loyalty, and honor amongst your whole group. One time, some of my friends, I took real dearly to these virtues. I followed these there were actual commandments, to our lifestyle, and regardless of what the situation was, I always exhibit, respect, honor, and loyalty, and when I started seeing that things weren't that way, they weren't really that way, For example, one time I was out partying with some friends, and one of my friends started a fight. He started a fight, just being drunk, and I ended up defending him. They were trying to jump him, and I ended up defending him, and I got jumped. When the situation was over, my guy was gone. Like, he had disappeared. I had no idea where he had gone.
Being abused, like growing up being abused in my home, I feel like that led me to a lot of rejection, and the rejection led me to looking for love and acceptance in men, and that led me to getting pregnant at 16 and married at 16 years old to a man that was that abused me also mentally, emotionally, physically. He was a drug user and he was an alcoholic.
Well, I was blessed to have a mom and a dad in the picture at home. My dad worked really hard, had a band on the side. I've been involved in the Youth Leadership Council for 4 years, since my freshman year in high school. I do believe these people lied to me, or that certain person lied to me, because they said, oh, this feels good, or this is what's in, when in reality, what's in can mess you up in the long run. Like for me, basketball at school was a very important aspect in my life and in my family's life.
Don't believe the lie.
I was blessed enough to be raised by both my parents, my father and my mother, both hardworking people. We were a close-knit family, but also they instilled many values inside of me. I learned from those experiences as watching them from a young age how important hard work was, and they always instilled the priority in me for education, going to college, not to have to suffer in the labor force that they work in. I've been a part of this Youth Leadership Council near its inception, when it first started, my late freshman year, early sophomore year. I've been a part of this council, so I would say nearly 5 years now. I'm lucky enough to say that I graduated from the Youth Leadership Council and am now an advisor. And I think that they didn't intentionally lie to me. I think that they grew up in a lie as well. I heard a saying once, I was taught this saying by another person who grew up around the lie, is that when you're growing up thinking that someone's bad is good, and you think someone else is good is the bad. So when they're my cousins or the other people that grew up in the lie, they thought what they were telling me was the truth. Staying away from the negative influences at first seemed pretty easy because I knew that I was going to be punished by my parents. That was the only incentive I had at first. But later on in high school, I learned that there were other truths in the world. That the life I was being taught was a lie. I came to the United Community Center, and there I found the value of community service.
I grew up in the south side of Milwaukee. I had both my parents raise me. I've been involved with the Youth Leadership Council here at UCC for about 3 years now. I started my freshman year and haven't stopped since. I went to school here in the south side of Milwaukee, elementary, middle school, and high school. My parents always encouraged education. Education was the way to get out of what we called the ghetto. I've had friends that I thought were friends try to lead me into not some good things, like partying when parents weren't home because they thought that they were gonna have a good time with drinking some blunts here and there. And I saw past that. The way I stayed away from these influences, these negative influences, was my parents' influence on me. They also grew up around the negative behavior, just like how I'm growing up now. I really paid attention to what they had to tell me, and something that really escalated to pursuing staying out of that was coming to community centers, doing music programs, helping other people.
I had my dad and my mom, and it was difficult for us because we're new in the United States when I was little, since I was 3. I've been in UCC for 2 years now, and I've been in the Youth Leadership Council now for 2 years as well. and I learned leadership, teamwork, and how to give back to the community. Some of the people that misled me or tried to mislead me into making bad choices were my uncles, because they were alcoholics, my cousins that dropped out of high school and did drugs, and the one cousin that I was really, really close to, and we were separated by our families because she grew up in gangs and she tried to pull me into it. So my family stopped talking to her family so that I wouldn't fall into the same decisions. Well, my family isolated me from people like that. Like, they isolated themselves from my uncles, from my cousins, so that I wouldn't be influenced by it. And going into high school, I started coming into UCC, and this was my distraction. So when they say, oh, you want to come do this? It's like, no, I'm going to UCC. I have a meeting today, and that'd be my way to get out of the things that I knew were wrong to do.
Don't believe the lie.
Don't believe the lie.
Yes, I do believe they lied to me. Not only do I believe they lied to me, but the environment I grew up, I believe, lied to me. And some of those lies were I was gonna never be nothing, and in order to be cool, I had to use drugs. I had to be involved in these gangs, and this is where I would get my respect at, because I want to give back to the community that I helped destroy. I caused a lot of hurt, a lot of harm, and I spread some of those same lies to other young people. So my plans for the future is to be on a mission to expose those lies for what they truly are, lies, and I want to give back.
Yes, I believe that they did lie to me. I believe that the love that I was receiving from them was a false love. I also believe that hurt people, and I believe that growing up, the guys that I was with, I was attracted to guys that grew up that were abused, and they were hurt also. So what they were giving me and what I was receiving, I believe that that was a false love.
My plans for the future involve, believe it or not, the life that I have led to, that I've lived. I'm going to school now for psychology and sociology. So I plan to attend graduate school and possibly get my PhD in social psychology. And I intend on using those degrees to actually come back to where I'm from and the life I led to help other misguided youths, see things for what they really are, and help them get a sense of self and acquire something that they can be proud of and brag about, and and show to the world that they're involved in and that they are doing. So I don't want my life experience to be led in vain and just forget and detach myself from where I came from. I actually want to come back and help others overcome the obstacles that I faced myself growing up.
I followed the negativity, and at that time, when I was about 11, 12 years old, when I met this guy, it kind of like, it made it more abundant to me that, wow, this is the way to live, because he was kind of raised by a guy older than him that was teaching him how to gangbang, how to sell drugs, and how to do crime, how to rob people and stuff like that. So yeah, I most definitely believe that I was taught lies and led to believe that I had to live a certain life.
Well, yeah, there were a few people that tried to mislead me. The occasional kids that I would meet on the block that I grew up around, but also a more closer threat. I would say my family as well. They've tried, I guess, to make me believe the lie in a way. They've partaken in the acts of drug abuse, sometimes drug dealing, the occasional pretending to gang bang. I guess the lies that they would try to tell me were that, oh, this is the fun life, this is how you live. They always pretended like they were happy, or that they were living the best life that you could possibly live. Well, first of all, I want to finish the job that I started, getting my degree at Marquette University, but also moving on, gathering the tools I need necessary to help a greater community than what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing right now is trying to help the students that I work with become the future leaders when I'm gone, so I can leave this community in peace, but so that I can move on to somewhere else. Right now I'm working on international politics and international affairs. I plan to move on to other countries, developing countries, and try to help them build the other sense of communities and not to believe the lies that are instilled in those areas.
The ways I stood away from these negative influences were coming to the UCC and seeing how other teenagers my age were doing positive, helping out the community, volunteering with the children of the new generation. My plans for the future are to obtain a major in business and a minor in music, and to have a two-part business. One part is going to be like a salon, barbershop, because the barbershop is a place of unity, of community, where everybody is the same, trying to look beautiful, as some would say. And the second part is to have a studio, a music studio, to help the young musicians and the young artists of my time and the time after me to stay out of trouble and do something positive with their talent.
Nowadays, a high school diploma is not going to do it for us. Second, I want to have a stable family. I don't want my family, my kids, to grow up the way I did, but I do want to grow up with the same values that I had. And I also want to possibly pursue a career in music education, because our Latino culture, Latino flavor, Latino sazon in music is missing in our community.
Don't believe the lie.
Dude, so did you get any scholarships in medicine?
Yeah, man, it's kind of tough because I got all these.
Don't believe the lie.
Don't believe the lie.
Yesterday I received college decisions, particularly those from some of my top choices, and I guess I'll just say it. I got accepted to Harvard and Princeton.
I just want to start a few words here. I'm sure others want to share some words as well. Fernando, we are incredibly proud of you. You've worked really hard. You've been at this for a long time, and I'm sure Pascual can attest to this, having been the principal when you were here as a much younger student. So we celebrate this as part of your extended family. We continue to encourage you as you pursue your dreams. This is a big deal for you. We know that. We talked earlier this morning. It's also a big deal for all of us as we celebrate when a young Latino makes it, especially to this caliber, to this type of school.
Opportunity, and I know Ms. Johnson was there when you were at the school, so on behalf of them, we want to congratulate you and thank you for representing this agency, this school, and this community in many ways. And I'm sure there's other alumni here that are doing the same thing, and I want to thank you for that, because you play an important role model in this community and for the school. So on behalf of the staff, congratulations to you and your family. And we believe that we play a little role in that in your decision and the success you could have, both from a school and an agency. So congratulations again to you and your family, and good luck at whatever school you decide to choose.
The Youth Council continues to be a prime example of what can happen to you if you don't believe a lie. They continue to show you that you can make it out of a bad situation with a positive attitude and a drive to succeed. That you can make it out the hood without dribbling the ball or picking up a mic. You get out by picking up a book. You must mute the world's negativity and refuse to fall in line. Instead of sitting and complaining, we should stand up for change. The Youth Council needs our help. They can't do it all by themselves.